web-based. We're here with Alex Krokus, Cold Cuts, very hype. Also,
Let's
boys,
go.
this is the first episode where the Ethernet cable is in use. So we should have. I know. Let's
Let's
fucking go,
fucking
dude.
go. The Alex is like, what the fuck, man? Like, what
Bro,
is
we have
this?
been recording
I'm
this thing.
impressed with the connection so far.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
me
rocking
too.
Wi-Fi, so I hope
Good.
I don't let y'all down.
I think because
We'll be
I'm
all right.
running it, it's heavily relying on mine the most, but I could be talking out of my ass. I don't know tech, but we have been
We're gonna
running
find
this
out.
without Ethernet, and like every 10 minutes, me or Harris
It
lags, and we have
crashes
to
or
like catch up. Yeah,
freezes.
it's
Yeah,
so
it's a bit
so
much.
stupid. But this is fresh, bro. This is it's been a while since we've had a webcomic artist on our webcomics podcast.
It's
Usually
true.
it's like
I understand
someone who
why.
doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're hard to come by. They're hard to come by that
It's true.
are
Well,
kind of normal.
there are a lot of people who I'm surprised don't show their face, don't show their voice, don't really want to have any type of like I don't know, like public appearance, which is like interesting to me because I don't know, I never really understood that. That seems like it's like an internet thing because normally like actual celebrities, their name and information is all out there, but then you get this like internet celeb and people are like, ooh, I don't want people to know who I am.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
it's
oh,
weird.
shit.
I only get that if like, because there's some like, like right wing or like far right webcomic people where it's like the punchline is the N word. That I get where it's like, I'd rather people not know my face or my name, but it's like if you do fresh stuff, it's kind of like, why would you not
difference.
want people to know you're making it and whatever? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you never know, baby. You never know. But this is very base. Thank you, Alex. I think we tried to get you on. When was it? Like Thanksgiving? I
It
think-
was sometime during the holidays, so it got a little
Something,
hard
yeah.
to
It was a
coordinate.
little hectic, yeah.
I think it was my bad though. I think I scheduled you on a date where Harris was like super busy or
Oh
something.
yeah,
but
it was your
I mean,
fault.
it
I
was
think
my
it was.
fault. Yeah.
I think it was my
You
fault.
can go
I don't
back to
know. It's
thinking it
been
was yours.
crazy.
No, I distinctly remember I scheduled it on a day where you said like, "Bro, I'm gonna be with my Latinx girl. I can't. Like, I'm gonna be too busy."
all over the map. I don't know.
Oh
This
God,
is
is that
fresh,
how you
bro.
pronounce it? I've been saying it wrong this
It's
whole time.
Latinx. It's Latinx.
Zach says
Oh, God.
Latinx, but I don't know.
Yo, Harris, don't let me
what's up?
forget because you're a smarter man than I. But we do have. We won't start with them, but we do have some Patreon, questions
for Alex.
for
Yeah.
Mr. Crocus.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask something, Alex. Am I right in saying that you have something of like an art background? Did you study art in school?
yeah. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology
Oh, really?
for
That's
general
cool.
illustration.
Damn, that's
Nice.
cool as hell, bro.
That is cool.
So you've always kind of wanted. Did you always want to do comics, or you just knew you wanted to do drawing type shit?
I just knew that I wanted to do drawing when I applied to colleges. Like when I was like, I guess 17 or 18, I had no prospects or like no ambitions really. And I just knew that I liked to draw. And I wanted to go to school in New York City. And FIT was a state school that wouldn't have broken my bank. And I just chose to. I went there for fine arts initially, and learned very quickly from doing like the classic art school orientation week of sharing sketchbooks with people that I was not a fine art major and I was very much an illustrator because everything I did was very like representational and like kind of cartoonish. And like one friend I made was just like, dude, what the hell are you doing in fine arts? And I pivoted and did illustration. And at the end of an illustration degree, I learned that I didn't want to be an illustrator, and did like an animation internship afterward. And I think it started to click with me there that cartoons were the move,
Yeah.
Yeah,
whether
Dude,
they be moving or static.
Yeah.
I
gotta
think I
get-
found my spot.
I got to
For
get
sure.
more into your because I've only seen the clips on Instagram. Do most of those, those ones where you do it's your like raccoon guy and it's almost like a talk show setup? Are those pulled directly from your podcast or because they seem to be vocal clips from something?
No, me and my friend James, We don't have a podcast. But I think after doing a couple of those little recordings, we felt inspired to start one. So that might happen this year.
Welcome to the club, quirky white boy.
Yeah, let's get
ready. Dude, I knew.
I think
just hearing your tale of being 18, that's like so Italian. There's something about Italian men at age 18. It's kind of like how salmon are like, yo, we got to go here and swim upriver. There's something where if you're Italian, it's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, but I want to go to New York City. I got to go to New York City, baby.
Hell yeah.
There's something.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to the motherland. Both my parents were from the Bronx, and they left to go to the safe countryside of Connecticut to raise me. And once I hit adulthood, I was like, I must return.
Yes, the Italian.
And here I am.
When did you feel like
New
you
York
started
City?
When did you? It's gorgeous out there.
It's a beautiful day in New York, baby.
When did you start to see like some sort of like internet celebrity clicking for you? Because I've been seeing your comics for a while actually, but you've got a really nice following, like and like a unique style. Do you remember when it started to feel like, oh shit, this is like a thing now? Like this is people are following me.
I think it's been like a slow accumulation over maybe like 5 years. Like it wasn't really an overnight sort of thing.
Mm-mm.
I'd get like occasional bumps when I would make comics for like Vice or BuzzFeed, and they would like post it on their profile, and then I would wake up to like a couple thousand more followers. But it definitely felt like since like 2016 to now, it would just be like a slow growth. Though this past year, when I started making like animated comics or ones that I would voice over and I would post on Reels, those would do very well because the algorithm just like rewarded me for making Reels.
Interesting.
So I did kind of double my Instagram following in this past year.
And that's impressive because I feel like Instagram is fucking impossible to grow on. Like
Instagram sucks ass.
Dude, I cannot crack the code, honestly. Like
I think that you are both very well equipped for taking advantage of Instagram because like Instagram in 2023 is only good for two things. It's good for people who want to be hot, and it's good for people who want to make comics.
Yeah. I guess this falls under the first one, but it's also good for if there was a girl in high school you used to think was hot, you can go check in on her now and jack off to all of her pictures.
Oh, nice.
That's
like
not going to get you follows, though.
You don't know.
You can like jack off every day, and no one's going to like your post.
This is crushing Zach's. Just crushing the Yellow Swag business model.
Fuck. Yeah, I had my whole year planned out. It's fucking ruined. No, it sounds like I mean, you and me have said this ourselves, Harris, but it sounds like maybe well, I guess you just said this. I mean, do you think Reels played a big part in your big Instagram growth or boost?
I think I just took advantage of it. I think that me personally, nothing does better than me just posting static comics that I break up into like separate panels. And maybe it's like a style thing. Maybe it's just a supportive audience. But I feel like comics are just like highly shareable things that people often see themselves in and want to share as a reflection of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the story feature on Instagram is very useful for that. I don't think it's that different from Twitter. Like you two have such great supportive Twitter followings, and it's because people see your work and they like it and then they share it. And I feel like that could be translated to Instagram very easily.
It's possible, but I will say, at least from what I've noticed, well, you know what? I'll use Harris as a good example because when we reconnected, we went to college together, but I remember I hit Harris up and I was like, bro, you got to post more of your comics. And you were kind of like, bro, I've been posting them on Instagram. I'm not seeing shit. And I was like, dude, listen to me. post on Twitter, and the rest is history, baby. Now you're
Whoa.
big leagues Beetle Moses.
Well, it did feel like there was just I mean, even though the story share on Instagram is nice because it's also like there is a non-committal aspect. It sounds so like stupid in the grand scheme, but there's a bit about like on Twitter when somebody retweets your shit, it's straight up them just tweeting it again, basically. And then all of their followers are going to see what you tweeted, which I love about Twitter. Like, I really like that aspect. And it's basically for somebody who's trying to find growth, if you have a viral tweet, you'll see it snowballing for that reason. Instagram is the story share, it just doesn't have the same punch because it's not, people still need to interact to get there rather than it just showing up in their feed. But I feel like story shares are nice because people will just offhandedly share things, you know what I mean? And that will reach people. But I don't know, my growth on Instagram has been way slower, and
You've been pumping up though a bit. I think you're almost caught up to me. You're like a couple K away.
Yeah, but I think you're onto something with the Reels thing. I know there's a lot of it's especially hot with the webcomic circle. Like, I see this and it's a little cringy. Even people that I like in the webcomic circle post shit like this that's about like the big spooky algorithm, and I'm kind of like, I'm like, how many fucking comics do we need to see about the algorithm? Like, seriously, you know what I mean? But like, there is something there. I think people are just going to be talking about it forever, and some of it feels superstitious to me, where it's like, is there really anything here, or is it, you know what I mean, or is it just like,
I agree with you, but any day of the week I would rather see someone's shitty algorithm comic than, so help me God, if I have to see one more artist block comic, I'm going to kill myself, dude. They are literally the worst fucking comics ever made, dude. Ever fucking made, bro.
Yeah, the joke is always like, I have nothing to say. So here's a comic and then, like, having nothing to say.
It'll either get really silly or the punchline will be that nothing happens, and it's like, I get it, dude. I've seen this before. We've all seen this before. Dude, I think this is sorry, please don't let me interrupt.
On the topic of Reels, I think that comic artists can like pivot to Reels very easily because every comic artist has the ability to be a filmmaker because it's all sequential art. They're essentially like storyboards for a very short format film. So like everyone has the ability to just drop their comic panels in like a pirated copy of Premiere CS6, put some music behind it, and have like a 10-second video. And if they are down to like do their own voiceover over it, that gives it like this touch of humanity that Instagram fucking loves. And I just feel like a lot of artists who are very like stuck in their ways on how they like to do things see this opportunity to try something new and like work in video, and all they do is like cross their arms and pout. And like, like no one's going to, you're not going to take advantage of this platform at all if you're being a little pussy baby about it.
It's true, it's true. I see that shit all the time. And also, I've been seeing the ones that you do. You host these little, or what it looks like to me is like a live reading of your comics, like on a
at the bookstore things.
Yeah, at the bookstore. What's the story with that? How did that start?
All of those clips that I posted from that comic reading was just for my book release. That was back in October.
On that, by the way, bro, that is very
do you want to plug that? Do you have any left, or did you sell out?
No, there are copies left. People can get it through my Instagram or Twitter link. The publisher Silver Sprocket, and you could just order it from their website.
That's
but the book is.
You said you'd sign us copies. That's so nice of you.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do whatever you want.
We'll still buy them.
Awesome. The book is like an anthology of like my favorite strips from like the last 5 years. And on a sentimental level, it's really nice to hold this thick ass brick of a book that Amazon says weighs exactly 1 pound. It's nice to just see and hold and feel like I have been doing something.
You made all that. Yeah,
it's like
you
a
made
baby.
That shit. That's crazy, bro.
Yeah,
And,
I could definitely break a windshield with it, and that's a nice feeling.
go. That's all that matters. Yeah.
this is a bit of a two-parter question, and part of the question is kind of from the Patreon, but I'm very curious too, so I'm gonna get it out of the
Mhm.
way. First question. So you said you did shit for like Vice and BuzzFeed, which I
Mhm.
had no idea about. Were these standalone things, or did they involve your raccoon? And then the second part of the question, just out of curiosity, are you a furry? Are you kind of like me and Beetle to an extent, where it's like I call it a furry, FAUXRRY, where it's like, dude, I just like cartoon animals. I'm not gonna throw the suit on. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So yeah.
you know, I used to have a pretty narrow view of what furry meant.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
thought that I had to be really into the uh, pornography of like drawing animals with like the Disney eyes
Uh-huh.
Now that I am
to
into.
qualify as
That I
such.
am into.
Oh, well, I mean, they could be mutually exclusive. I don't know, but it was only when I started selling cheese with this guy who identified as a crow that I realized
Wow.
that there are a lot of nuances to what being anthro could mean.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
And
Uh,
I'm a guy who draws himself and all of his friends as animals, and I feel like on paper that's like pretty goddamn furry.
That's pretty furry. That's
Maybe
pretty
I'm just
furry.
in denial. I'm just
I
kind of you're talking about the porn thing, and to me it's like, if you're a white-blooded heterosexual man, there's no way you see Rouge the Bat and you don't want a jacket. Like that's just she's
That's
a
so
fucking
real.
smoke show, baby. But
That's so real.
you are right to an
I mean,
extent. Though. There's like a
she was meticulously designed to be a smoke show.
she's
No doubt.
Latinx coded.
No doubt.
She's
Yeah,
Latinx coded, baby.
absolutely.
She's thicky. It's
How
like Selma Hayek with wings, baby.
how long have you been doing the raccoon? Like when did that come about? Did you get that while you were still in school, or did that come later?
And
That came out
was that part of the BuzzFeed art like comics, or that was different? Thing?
that I did some for BuzzFeed with the raccoon character. But it seemed like there was some ambiguity around like ownership of it that got me kind of nervous.
Oh, they were trying to like say that they'd own him.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Oh, that sucks ass, dude.
Yeah, but I asked for like a contract negotiation and like got that all figured out, but
Good looks.
it got me like tugging at my collar a little bit for a while and made me realize that I have to be better at reading contracts.
Yeah.
So now when it comes to doing like work for like publishers and like online or like online publishers and clients, I'm a little bit more guarded with characters and IPs that are important to me, and I will much sooner just do like classic web comic blob people for stuff.
Yeah.
Not a blobfish.
Because it's really hard to throw a copyright on something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Dude, it's
that.
funny. I think I've definitely mentioned this story in the pod before, but just because it's kind of in the same vein, like it is honestly so insane how easily your shit can get stolen. I met up with this dude who was kind of I'll call him my mentor. He's a really cool guy, but he does like some animation type stuff work. And I saw these like drawings of little squirrels on his computer, and I was like, "What are these?" And he was like, "Bro, it's like the Nutsack Boys or whatever." I forget what he called them, but he was like, "Dude, come look at this."
Great name.
And he opens this book and shows me all these squirrels and all these like stories and plot points, and I was like, in the back of my head, instantly, I was like, "This looks so familiar. Like, did this come out on TV or whatever?" And he was like, essentially, just to make the story short enough, he went to not Will Arnett, Will Forte. He went to Will Forte's production studio and pitched them this story about these squirrel guys who are like on a heist, and they didn't end up taking it, but he didn't have it copyrighted, whatever. 6 months later, that studio drops fuck, I forget the name of it. It was some squirrel heist movie, The Nutcase or something.
Really,
But
like
it
the
was
same
literally,
idea.
dude, they literally ripped it down to like all of the characters. And I was like, that kind of made me realize like, damn, bro, like you really do have to be fucking careful
Oh
with your
yeah.
especially as like a smaller artist. Like it would be so easy for someone to fucking just
To
come in and
just
rip shit.
Well,
Yeah.
that was kind of my like New Year's resolution, is to sort of focus a little bit more on the business side of things, because I'm just been so focused on just like, oh, let me draw, let me make as much art as I
Mhm.
want and all this shit. But there is
Yeah.
like, especially when you start to have eyes on your work, there's a lot of fucking shady. It's a shady business, so it's
You
like,
gotta, yeah, dude. Please focus on that because I'm too stupid of a man. As my
no,
business
yeah.
partner, you gotta cover that aspect. Although I was offended 2 weeks into when we made the podcast, you were like, "Yo, you mind signing a contract? My dad said you should sign a contract that we split
Well,
stuff." And I was
it's
like, "Dude,
true.
what? Yo, I'm not
All
gonna
that
screw
shit
you,
is
baby."
fucking real.
Italian goon voice you're using
I
is
know. It's all real though, man. All this shit is
No,
like,
you're right. I'm
I
just
mean,
teasing you.
all this shit is like, but it's also like, I mean, we've been talking about, this is not an interesting conversation for Alex to be a part of also probably, but it's like, I mean, dude,
He loves it.
we need to trademark cold
I'm in
cuts.
having
Like,
fun.
I mean, yeah, I don't know like how any of that works. I know nothing about like legality, but like things like copyright and LLC and trademarks and stuff is like, you should do some of that stuff. One, because of fucking, you get tax exemptions on certain, or, you know, you can fucking,
That sounds
what's the
based. I
word,
need tax
for certain
exemptions.
shit that we're spending money on here, and then, and also just to protect our brand and ourselves. Yeah,
Alex,
it's
is your
like,
shit
Yeah.
copyrighted?
Um, no,
All right,
but
Harris. So
in
we're
all
gonna
of my
copyright
books,
Cold Cuts and Alex
eh,
Krokus.
yeah,
We're stealing
exactly,
it from him, baby.
yeah,
killing it.
yeah, go for it.
Um,
Just do the raccoon justice, please.
well, you do have
That's
when you did the book printing, did you have to sign any like legal documentation to protect that stuff
I own the rights to everything that's in my
Based,
book.
in
yeah.
the book? That's good.
Silver Sprocket, great publisher. Every artist who gets published by them like owns everything.
Hmm.
And I had like a pre-existing relationship with them, so it felt very safe. But
That's good.
if any like artist like wants to like go into publishing or try and have like their ideas be turned into a show, um, learning contracts, copyright, and other legalese is like necessary.
Dude,
For
it's
sure.
so crucial because I mean you're seeing it now, dude. There's so many artists who are coming out and talking about it where they get paid to make a show, whether it's like Netflix, Hulu, whatever. Yeah, we'll pay you, give us 2 seasons. They make the 2 seasons, and then Netflix and Hulu decide like we're not going to release the show. We're going to take a tax cut and say it failed. And then the artist is like, "Oh, cool. Can I show people?" And it's like they literally are legally not allowed to show anyone,
Yeah.
even if the
Yeah.
season is finished. They're not allowed to show it to anyone, and it literally gets shelved away. And it's like no one will ever see it again, and they're not allowed to even use their own character. It's so
Sucks.
Yeah.
fucked up, dude.
I mean,
Sucks. Yeah.
that's been happening a lot in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
I
Hmm.
think a lot of fans of animation and people in the animation industry have watched so many people's beloved ideas just be locked away, never to be seen by the creator or the rest of the world, regardless of how complete they are. And
Yeah.
I think it was really sobering for a lot of people on the fringes of the industry wanting to get in more.
Hmm.
And it led to them or it leads to everyone asking themselves like, yo, is it worth developing my idea for literally years to make a pilot that will ultimately just be put in a cellar and
Yeah.
literally, dude.
never seen again?
It
My
sucks.
dream,
It's sobering.
Yeah, for sure.
if Cold Cuts ever gets big enough to finance this, it would be amazing. But if Harris and I don't do it, I'm predicting it now, just because of how shitty things are going and how much like every time you see a shitty news story like that, you see so many web internet artists kind of come together and be like, "Yo, we
Mhm.
got to figure something out." But I'm predicting if we don't pull this off, there's going to be a Netflix type. It's either going to be a Netflix type thing where you pay for it, or it's going to be a YouTube type thing where it's free but they make money on ads, where it's all just unique adult animated shows,
Hmm.
and it's just completely creator run. But I feel like there's there's nothing else out there right now that's kind of like that. You know what I mean? But I feel like it would help the industry like so much, um, especially with creators like
Yeah.
wanting to own their own shit or
True,
whatever.
yeah. I mean, I think we're even seeing, and I'm realizing this through having a Patreon now, is like it's actually nice to have like sort of like a more direct line to your fans, basically. You know
Oh
what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
yeah.
Rather than it like it I think that Patreon, even that, I don't know how old the site is, but it's such a good there's some stuff that needs to be ironed out so it's like a little bit more like user friendly and like malleable,
Mhm.
but like I do love the idea that it's literally just like here's the content, here's the person who likes the content. Like it's just bang bang
yeah,
bang. There's no like middleman or like, like content restriction. Even YouTube is like kind of annoying with that shit where they'll strike things or you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Patreon is
Yeah.
great because it's just like boom, you're right there. And the creator, the creator gets to be paid for their work by somebody who wants to see it and is willing to pay to see more of their work. Like it's
yeah.
just a great platform. I think we'll probably see more stuff that's like that. Well, I don't know if we will, but it would be cool if
Well,
more creators
if
could
the
connect
industry
with their
keeps going the way it's going, I think you are correct. I think most people who are smart are going to go the self-funding route. Like
yeah,
it only makes sense. You
Mhm.
know what?
it does
You
make
can do
more
what you
sense.
want. You're not censored. Like you don't lose copyright shit. Like it's
Yeah.
fucked.
You'll never have as much freedom with your creative voice as you will like making like work for patrons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Or being able to connect with them. Like Harris and I got a beautiful email earlier today where someone sent us, I think they drew it themselves, but fart porn.
Crazy.
Beautiful women with large butts farting. And it's like, if
Farting.
we were working for Netflix, how would they have emailed us
They
this? You
would
know what I
never
mean?
have found
They
us.
would have
That's
never been
right.
able to do it, baby. But
Yeah.
listen, in the last minute 30, I have tried so hard not to metaphorically suck you off, so I'm gonna start doing it now. But what I love most about your comics, bro, there's a lot of people who like my niche, for instance, is like gay jokes, gay porn, semen, dog
You're
semen in
good at it.
particular. Hey,
Hmm.
thank you, Goomba, thank you. But with your raccoon stuff, the thing I love the most is like this is a dumb comparison, maybe a little bit, but it's almost very Seinfeldian in my opinion because
I could see that.
it's the each one is its own unique thing. There's not like you don't have like a gimmick. You know what I'm saying? Are
Mhm.
you in the last 30 seconds before you get cut off? Are you actively aware of that? Do you try not to do that, or you're just like I make what I think is funny?
Yeah. I kind of I don't know if I can fit this into a minute, but I just have like a folder of scripts in my phone that's like several years old, and whenever I have artist block, I just pull from that.
That's the way to do it.
You should make an artist
Yeah.
block cartoon.
Yeah,
It'd be a good
you're right.
idea.
I've got a lot on deck.
I want
I
to
know
talk
I
more
was
about
shitting on
this.
them before.
I actually do want to talk more about that when we get back because that reminds me of
Mhm.
something else I wanted to talk about too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Daddy
Uh,
needs a quick ciggy break, and we'll be right back.
that sounds
I'm gonna
We'll be
good.
crack
right
another
back.
beer.
Had 2 beers so far, and I'm like, "Where's the record button, dude?"
Okay,
I'm
welcome back.
fucking dying. Anyway,
Uh,
you were about to ask a good question, Harris. I
Me.
think, or something you wanted to
Well,
get into.
there was something that I wanted to bring up because Alex brought up that when he didn't have an idea, instead of writing one of those like cringe ass writer's block comics, you went back to an old idea and
Oh yeah.
like revisited it, which is great. That's I do the same thing too. Like I keep a note of like ideas, and if I can't think of anything, I'll usually go back to something that I
Now, were you guys
thought
talking
was
about
dumb.
doing
What's
an
that?
old idea or literally remaking an old comic?
I was
Old
talking,
idea.
Old
yeah, I was
idea.
talking
Okay.
one that I'd never done. Yeah, and actually that's happened on a few occasions where I've done an idea that when I first wrote it, I was like, this is too stupid, it's too boring, no one's gonna get it, whatever. And then if I have nothing and I'm like, well, I might as well just draw it and put it out there, they end up doing really well. You know, like because sometimes you
Mhm.
think an idea is bad, and then once it like exists, you never know. Like you never know what's
Bro,
gonna happen
you
with it.
are the most this guy I have ever met, but you need to find that voice that tells you it's not good enough and literally gouge your thumbs through his eyes, dude. Last
Just like-
episode we had on, Harris was like, these have been collecting dust on my shelf. They're fucking trash. And he pulls out 3 hats that he made, hand
the
painted
hats.
with Sonic characters, and they were like the coolest shit I've ever seen. And I was like, dude, post these on Twitter. And they sold out in what, like 10 minutes?
I sold the 3 of them.
You
out,
hand painted hats?
Yeah, do you want to see that? I'll show them. I haven't mailed them out yet. I have tomorrow. I have to get this stuff.
Can you show him a picture? Because I know you sold them of the pants you made.
I have a photo of that too. Let me get the hat.
Yeah.
First.
Dude, this man, you know that meme that's like the goofy movie thing where it's like, damn, bitch, you live like this?
I do. I love
he
it.
did that with jeans, with like one side the guy, one side the girl. And they came out so...
I saw that. That was
You
you?
don't see those. That's his.
Yeah,
that's his.
Yeah, that came out great.
Oh, thanks, bro. Yeah, these are the hats. And when I painted them, I was like, I don't really fuck with these. Like, I'm not crazy about how they came out, but yeah.
I'm so mad you didn't send me the Rouge one, bro.
The Bass Pro Shops one.
Oh, you didn't ship them
That's
yet?
clean.
No, I have to get tomorrow. Literally, my to-do list is to go get the
mailers. Okay.
the materials. Yeah.
Bro, my baby,
Rouge the
my
Bat.
baby,
Oh.
dude.
Yeah, that one went first. The Rouge the Bat one went first, but that was expected.
course it did.
Fucking
And then
course.
I did this Knuckles one also.
That one's honestly fresh as fuck.
This
bro.
is. I honestly think the Knuckles one came out the cleanest because it was the last one that I did, and I had kind of gotten the hang of it.
What
at that
hat
point,
is he
but-
on?
Yeah, I got
Yeah, I
this-
can't tell.
I thrifted this hat that just has this like. I thought it was a fire hat because it's just like a thumbs up
Smiley face.
smiley
Yeah.
face, but I don't think it means anything. But I was like, it's kind of a fresh hat. But I got more hats. I'm gonna do more characters because it got a pretty good response. But
I get 10% for pushing you to do these.
yeah.
That's
I'll-
how that
I'll
works,
send it
fair.
over.
baby. That's how
But
that
anyway,
works.
this is what I was going to say before is actually it reminded me of this thing which apparently I think you cannot buy them. Maybe you could buy them secondhand. But do you guys know you know who Brian Eno is?
Why does
Yeah.
that sound
You live in
familiar?
New York. You went to art school. I know you know who that is. But he is a musician and artist, but he specializes in he kind of wheeled in ambient music. So a lot of his stuff is soundscapes and like very soothing. He's a really interesting guy.
Bro, he looks like Moby if he was like a man.
Yeah,
I
dude,
mean-
Brian Eno is sick. He's had a really long career, so he's soundtracked movies and had hands in production of all kinds of albums and shit like that. But anyway, back in the 70s, he and a buddy invented it was a card game. It's actually like a deck of cards called Oblique Strategies that's specifically designed for it's specifically designed for artists of any medium who are having like writer's block, and you basically are supposed to pull a card from the deck and it gives you some prompt which is supposed to encourage lateral thinking. Like you're supposed to read it and think of, it'll say like, do an idea that your friend would make or something like that, like random shit like that. But one of them on there is like, revisit an old idea that you abandoned or something like that. And
That's cool.
it's dope. I really want to get this fucking Oblique Strategies, but apparently they printed it like 5 times, like in ever. And I think it was like once in the 70s, once in the 90s, once in the 2000s, and then like a couple more, and then never again. So I think you can't get them anymore. But like I've read a fair bit about them online, and I'm like, if anybody has a set out there, I would love to buy.
You're telling me
You
they're
should,
super rare, like the YOLO Swag Beetle Moses trading cards?
Those are sick
Is that
too.
what you're
Yeah.
saying?
All right, yeah, hit me up when you're done plugging your shit.
Yeah.
You should check out what is it? Making Comics by Linda Barry.
Oh, I don't know that one.
She has 2 great books.
A woman?
Yes.
No.
Women are amazing comic artists.
They are.
Yeah.
All of them.
Blobby and friends.
And yeah, and my favorite woman comic artist outside of Eleanor Davis is Linda Barry, who's a very sweet, kooky arts educator who makes great work on her own, but has made 2 books, one called Syllabus and one called Making Comics, and both are filled with like prompts and drawing exercises that are
Very
great
cool.
for either people who like gave up on drawing when they were younger, and they want to return to it, but they feel like it's like silly, or they like can't like loosen up. Or it's great for people who just have writer's block artist block, and they just can't come up with ideas. But
Very cool.
I love her art style.
yeah,
Is this? I'm looking at a picture
yeah,
now. Does she
seriously.
also have an animal Sona that's a monkey?
It looks like it.
Yes,
Or is that
Like
just a
she
one-off?
does.
Like a little
Okay.
orangutan.
She is less committed to her fursona as I am,
Okay.
but she's great.
Yeah.
If anyone ever has the opportunity to see her speak in person, they will walk out of that a better person.
That's awesome. I love that, dude. That reminds me. I had this one. I started reading this right before I started posting shit on Twitter. Also, this one,
That's-
Understanding Comics. This
That
one
is the
fucking
Bible of
rides.
comics right there.
This shit fucking rides, bro. Yeah, like it's so. I'm actually due for a reread because I read everything. The coolest part is that it is a comic itself.
Yes.
I think maybe Linda Berry's might be this way too, but it's
Mhm.
like it deconstructs like all kinds of Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. It's very fucking cool and like reminds me totally of what you're talking about with Linda Berry. Like deconstructs comics, kind of like puts them in sort of plain speak, but also like highlights elements of comics that like when you read them, you don't really think about it. You know what I mean? Like certain
Mhm.
ways that people like can show the passage of time or like, painting a scene and like differences in comics in the West and in the East, and like all of it was super fucking interesting. I'm due for a reread now, but it's
Yeah,
really cool.
I revisited it because I started teaching at the School of Visual Arts this past fall.
Oh, that's
Nice.
dope
And
as fuck, dude.
I started teaching an elective called animating comics, which I kind of was able to like build a curriculum for myself.
Did you need to get a
And
teaching degree for that?
no, you just got to be good.
That's fucking dope.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
But I returned to Understanding Comics to help put together like lectures and a curriculum. And to be honest, you could either pay tens of thousands of dollars to go to a private art school, or you could pay $12 online and get a copy of Understanding Comics.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, dude, it really was fucking insightful. I mean, I have been wanting to do like a longer form comic for a while, but just been procrastinating it because
Well,
it's
I know
like
you
a
had
big
that-
undertaking.
That one idea you kept telling me about. You said
Yeah,
it's
well,
pretty much written though, the robot type one.
Yeah, that one I have written as a novel, but there's another idea that I've actually started drawing that's there's no dialogue, like it's just a visual story, but
It's deep.
Yeah, I think it's doable. Like I have it all outlined. I know I could draw it. It's within my wheelhouse. It's literally just the like, okay, I have to draw 80 drawings right now. Like it's, you know what I mean? Or just like I have to draw 80 drawings. Like it's way easier to sit and be like, let me just draw 3 panels. Let me just draw 4 panels. You know what I mean? But the idea of like, let me begin this journey of drawing an 80 to 100 page comic or 80 to 100 page panel comic is like, it's just like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to start, but
Dude, since we're started talking about books that inspired us, this is by one of my favorite artists, but have you guys read this one?
so did you just draw that?
That
Ooh.
Hey,
Ooh.
hey.
Get
know
off
what's
the
like-
stage!
Dude,
Yeah,
you know
I
it's
thought
like-
that was gonna be a great bit. I
it's like
instantly
one of my
regretted it.
well, I saw this video on Twitter and it was cracking me up. You know this video of Trisha Paytas like meditating on TikTok and people are just throwing tomatoes at her
Yes,
like
yes.
on the it's so fucking good.
We should build that in so you can do that to me.
Yeah.
Anytime one of my awful jokes doesn't
Actually,
land.
this is a good segue to another question that I had for Alex, which is because the two of us talk about this all the time, and it's just the fucking
Filipinos.
the webcomic, that, but also the webcomic.
I love
like,
Filipinos.
I love them too.
Swagged out.
Swaggy.
out.
I'm in love with one.
Oh hell yeah!
Who's the
let's
GF
go.
Filipino?
Yeah.
Let's go,
Mr. Swag. Yo.
Let's
Cuts
go.
approved, baby.
Hell yeah!
I love
dude.
Angie. Well,
that's
half
good.
French Canadian, half Filipino, but
Let's
That still
fucking
counts.
go.
That still
you
counts.
know,
What
we
was I
all
gonna
contain
say?
multitudes.
Do you get and how do you deal with hater comments? Like
Oh,
when,
that
like,
is a good question. I'm
Like,
curious myself.
do you see it or like does it not? Because honestly, your stuff is like
I'd be shocked.
it's very
Yeah.
likable. It's like it's
Yeah.
very benign. There's no like hot takes, you know what I mean? Which is like,
Yeah.
which I mean as a good thing because it's really fucking annoying when
No,
comic
I
artists
made
do their
comics
own
that piss
thing.
people off.
Which
Um,
one? What was like a big one?
I think during like the early stages of like the pandemic when we were like quarantined,
Hmm.
I made a lot of comics about it.
Yeah.
And like I made a comic once that said that if you didn't get COVID in 2021, you got like a ribbon that said boring on it.
Okay.
And
That's good.
it made Twitter angry. Or like corners of
Of
Twitter that like
course.
I don't hang out in, but the comic reached there.
Sure.
And I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is funny. And
Uh,
like, I mean, it's the worst thing when a comic reaches normie Twitter. Like,
yeah.
as soon as the general public gets a hold of it, that's when the like, first of all, the people who are 40 plus, no offense to any listeners who are 40 plus, but sorry, Chuck. And then just the Ukraine flag in bio. I don't really know a nice way to put it exactly, but like the just normie like I don't really know. Like it's just like that it reaches that side of Twitter and it's just like they're gonna somebody has to be a fucking stick in the mud. Like there has to be somebody saying some
Dude,
shit.
for me it's I used to find it funny, but now like when it does hit that side of Twitter and I get 800 like, is this satire? Yo, is this dude being for real right now? And it's like, please shut the fuck
I
up,
love
dude.
that.
Like you're
I
killing
love
me,
that.
dog.
At the risk of sounding like a cringy aspiring influencer, um, engagement is engagement.
True.
If people are getting angry, that's great for you
That's
because
true.
people are gonna hate share it. More stuff. People are gonna look at your shit, and as long as you are being authentic and living your truth, uh, who cares if what you say pisses someone off?
That's a fact.
Deep,
Preach.
very
No,
deep.
it is true. And honestly, I notice it a lot with like people on Twitter who like, their comic reaches it breaks 1,000 likes and they're like, I'm muting this. I have to mute this. I can't get any more mentions anymore or something like that. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you muting your most popular thing? You want people to keep writing and arguing and
Yeah,
being like, I don't it's like
I think a lot of people that's when they get hate. When they're
that's when
getting
you reach the
hate, they
hate
usually
point.
say I'm muting. Dude, there's no bigger like sore loser when someone's getting hated on, especially when it's a terrible tweet. Not even like a comic, but a terrible tweet, and then they do the like muting this smiley face, and it's like, I know your bitch ass is still reading negative comments and you're pretending that you don't give a shit. Like, go fuck yourself. That
Uh,
drives me nuts, bro.
yeah.
I fucking hate
Uh,
that.
being super real, I have like all my notifs turned off,
oh,
and
really?
yeah, I don't want to see anything until unless I
You're
look
talking
for
like
it.
phone alert wise.
The only notifications I get on Twitter are like from mutuals
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
I got the
Okay.
same
yeah,
shit
because I
on.
don't know, sometimes something will blow up and I don't need to know.
What's
I don't
going
need a
on?
live feed of every time someone likes something. Don't get me wrong, it feels good.
Sure.
And I like walk into the comic being like, how are things doing in here?
Yeah.
Still popping off? Great. Bye.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't need I don't need alerts on every time someone like
It is.
retweets a
I do
comic.
think it's very nice to know sometimes, though, where, like, say you take a risk with a particular comic, whether it's like the subject matter or the art style, and people react either really well or really poor. I do think sometimes checking out the notifications or how many likes it got is a good way to, like, I should do more of this or I should
Hmm.
do less of this. But, yeah,
It's
that
nice to
shit's,
know
yeah,
what works, but I
For
think
sure.
that if you've got something to say about something niche, you gotta say it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
100%.
it's like for
Uh,
yourself, and if it doesn't hit, fuck them. I don't
yeah,
know,
who
just keep
cares?
doing it.
It's true.
Dude, I
I
think I'm only thinking about this because I'm on my third PBR, which is disgusting. They taste like piss, but we
no, I
gotta
like
have
those.
a. We need a bald guy on next. I'm so sick of looking
Sorry.
at Harris and then the other guest, and they're just beautiful heads of hair.
Gray hair.
It's sickening. I
We
hate
all
it.
have great hair.
I hate
Yeah,
it.
you got good hair too.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone called me Vegeta the other day, and I was like, "Fuck, they're right.
What
They're
the-
totally right."
Vegeta's the best character on the show.
Vegeta is
he's
the man.
cool.
He is the man. All right,
He's
so
like the most dynamic character. He's the
I-
only one who learns.
that
Dude,
is true. He's
That's
the
a good point.
yeah.
That's a
He
very
has
good
an
point.
arc, and
He
like no
does.
one else does.
That's a good point.
Majin Buu. He gets thin. He loses a little weight.
True.
Anyway, I
Yeah,
know
but then
you
he just
said,
yeah.
I know you said your girlfriend passed out, so we can chill with the great Krokus a little longer. But just because this happens every episode, we have Patreon questions. We just don't do them, which is so fucked
no,
up.
do the
Forget it.
Patreon questions.
That's what I'm
let's
saying.
do a
Yeah,
Patreon
I'm
question.
gonna hit
They're
those up
what
right
is
now.
keeping the ship afloat.
Oh,
For
they're
sure.
the sweeties. This is from Trash Bins, who is a executive producer,
Cool.
I believe. Yes. This
Who is
is
it?
the one I alluded to earlier. So you kind of semi half answered the question, but not really. But what got you into comics, and why did you go with a raccoon?
Okay, so the boring answer is that I was drawing comics since I was a child. I got a copy of Something Under the Bed is Drooling, a Calvin and Hobbes collection,
Oh yeah, I have that.
Classic.
from
Classic.
a like third grade book fair, and it's absolute fire and continues to be.
Great fire, yes.
And it made me want to draw comics, and I drew a lot of bad ones that were like good for a child.
Yeah.
And I think I did that until I was like in high school, and then I got a girlfriend. So I stopped playing Super Smash Brothers, posting on IGN boards, and drawing comics. And I just made out, and I watched Rock of Love. And
Let's go.
that was also important for my development.
Who was
And
your
then it was
Smash
only
main?
after I graduated college that I started drawing comics again. And
Hell
that,
yeah.
I guess that ties into the second question, which is like, why a raccoon? I used to live in this cooperative house where I had 13 roommates.
Oh my
It
God.
was kind of, I guess it was like it was more of a punk house, really. But
Was
like the
this in New
hippies in the
York?
house. What's that?
This was in New York.
This was in New York. This was after I graduated, and I wanted to live in this expensive ass city that has only gotten more expensive. But I was able to do that if I moved into this house that had 12 other people living in it and maybe had bed bugs. They didn't know yet, but they
Probably.
might. And I was like, whatever,
Yeah, who
sure.
cares? Why
And
not?
I did that, and my lifestyle complemented theirs very well. And there was this one time where I came into the kitchen with a bag full of bagels that I got from the trash and said, like, oh, I got us breakfast for the next month. And my roommate at the time, Celia, said, like, look at Alex, that squirrely ass raccoon. And
That's stuck.
stuck. And it
That's
was probably
good.
like a couple of weeks later where I was like, what if I drew myself as a raccoon? And I drew like a crappy little micron drawing of a raccoon in like a cutoff t-shirt with like stubble. And I streamlined it a little bit since then, but the design is pretty much the same.
He
I
didn't
think you've
change
got-
much.
You've got
Not
crazy
really.
good. I think the character design of the raccoon is fucking chef's kiss.
All your characters,
So
even
good. So good.
even when you do something stupid simple like I don't know if you've done him in your regular comics, but I know he was in one of your animations because I was laughing. I think it's your buddy. He's the worm.
Oh yeah, James.
Even your worm
Yeah.
is great,
Yeah,
bro.
shit's
It's
great.
fucking chiefing a dart, and I'm like, God damn, dude.
God
You
damn, I
give it
know.
a nice little je ne sais quoi. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly because I'm very stupid.
No, yeah.
I
Wait,
believed you.
I-
I too
I
am
got-
stupid.
I have a question. I'm part of the Patreon. Can I ask a question?
Are you gonna ask if he's fast?
No, I wasn't gonna ask that. I was gonna ask you watercolor your comics, right? Is it actually watercolor or it's not digital?
Some of them are digital and some are watercolor.
Okay.
I try and stick to a schedule of doing 3 comics a week.
That's good.
And when I'm behind, they got to be digital because I can move
Faster,
faster.
for
But
sure.
if I am like on schedule, I will like ink and watercolor traditionally.
Yeah, I love that style. It looks so fucking fresh.
It's really
and
beautiful.
Very
Thanks.
unique. Yeah. You know, you and another artist that I love, Anna Laura Art. Do you follow her too? She
Oh,
does
do they do like the little like
the
the
monkeys, the
little
cute monkey,
animals
little
like hanging
animals and
out and
stuff.
celebrating
Yes.
life together?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
They're very cute, but they're not like I wouldn't call them kitschy. They're like I think they're thoughtful comics, but she has a very I think also has like an art school background
Oh
and
yeah, these look fucking
Mm.
dope,
they're
dude.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very
she's
good
great.
artist too. Yeah, and her shit reminds me of yours just in the sense that you guys both have that ink and watercolor style, but very different like to different effects. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you're using the same mediums but in like a different way. But yeah, both of you guys are very like visually it's clear that you guys have training in art because it looks very good. Yeah. It's
Dude,
awesome.
it's
Do you guys
crazy how
know
like
Who's that?
do you guys know Stephen Neary?
No, who's that?
does he
He
do the
posts his
Lich
comics
one?
on Instagram, but he's another autobio guy who does all of his comics like with traditional watercolor, and they're beautiful. I would love to be able to watercolor like him.
Wait,
You
can you
said
spell that
Leary?
for how do you spell it?
Stephen Stephaneary.
Oh,
I think.
Neary. Okay.
Yeah.
Neary.
He made a show recently called The Fungies that has these really beautiful
Oh, I
soft
found him.
watercolor
Oh,
backgrounds.
these are dope. Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
these look
And it's cool to
fire.
see. It's cool to see his comics and be like, I see where that handmade touch is from. That's in your show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like the mark of a good artist is being able to utilize watercolors in the way you do because like most painters I know, it's kind of like there's tiers to whether you're a good painter, and it's like watercolor is you're like me, you're like literally retarded and have 2 IQ points.
You
And
love
there's
that word, dude.
acrylic. I can't help it. Yeah, I'm Italian. I can use the
Trying to
word.
curb
It's
it.
no, we can't.
Right. We're all inbred. I get it.
It's like
Oh,
watercolor, acrylic, and then if you're like a pro, it's like I do oil paints. But
Mhm.
sometimes I think watercolor looks even more beautiful than the
It looks
finest thing an
great.
oil painter has done. You know
It
what I
looks
mean?
great.
Like
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
the nice thing about watercolor is it's just cheap and it's accessible.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I grew comfortable just like buying a set and experimenting because there wasn't this like huge overhead that I was committing to.
Yeah.
You know, I had to do some oil painting in college and it's really expensive and
You have to
it
wait
takes forever.
6 months. Yeah, literally.
And yeah, and you got to do it in like a ventilated room where you're going to die.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it's like the closest you can get to just doing like, I don't know, an ink painting, but the color like gives it more life.
I think what's cool about the way that you utilize it versus like someone like Anna Laura, like I think Anna Laura utilizes the watercolor thing to almost produce these very vibrant, almost childlike like color schemes in
Mhm.
her things, which are very like striking. But I think you utilize the watercolor in a cool way, which actually plays up the almost like the dullness, like almost that Seinfeld quality that Zach was talking about. You know what I mean? Like the most recent one that you posted where they're in the bodega. I'm looking at that one
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
shitting
Like
one.
that's like even though it's like it's very simple, it's actually great like use of the watercolor like color palette because it's like
Mhm.
variations in grays and navies and like maroons and like it looks
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah, very cool.
Yo,
I'm
remind
glad
me
you
to-
like that one because I was feeling a little like iffy about that palette, but
Why? I
it
liked
hits,
it.
No,
it
it looks
hits.
great.
No,
Yeah,
I think
that
it
one
looks
looks
good.
fucking awesome,
I think
dude.
it's really good.
Yo,
Yeah.
remind me to ask you about Bodega Discourse maybe on the next set. But we have
Yeah.
7 minutes. I want to just burn through at least 1 or 2 more of these,
Sure.
just so the patrons are happy.
Let's do it.
Maybe you'll understand this one because I do not. I'm assuming this question is for you. If this doesn't make sense, we'll skip it.
Okay.
So, did you go to that Glitch NYE party or not?
Yes.
What's the story here, baby?
What is that?
Me and some friends threw a New Year's Eve party together in like on like the Bushwick Ridgewood border in Brooklyn.
Very hip.
And We've like thrown like small parties before, but this was one where we rented out like the back room for a bar, and it was kind of like a financial commitment.
Got it.
And we were a little nervous about selling enough tickets to like get us out of the debt we put ourselves in. So we like opened it up to just like whoever wanted to come, and to promote it, we just like made a bunch of memes about how sick our party in Bushwick is going to be and how shitty parties in Manhattan are. I don't know if you feel like an editor, but you could like throw some memes on here while I'm talking or something. But we all learned that was very successful, and
Did you sell out?
we greatly exceeded the amount of sales we strive to make. And even though I think we got like a little burnt out on promoting it, it was a huge success. And it's nice to know that if we ever wanted to do that again, the move is make your Eventbrite page, and then just be loud and obnoxious with memes about how fun your party is.
Let's go,
dude. Hell yeah! Now,
take notes.
How was the party? Was it a good? It was a good.
It was great.
A good party.
Yeah, it was like 90s cyberpunk themed. Like you're either in like the hackers or like the Matrix camp, and those were like essentially the two flavors. We got 5 DJs. They're all like friends of ours.
That's sick.
And it was
Not
great.
At once they were like switching in and out.
Yeah, it like went from like 9 to 4.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, there were some bangers. We got this great remix of Dragula. We had this mashup of the White Lotus theme and the thong song.
Season 2. Season 2 White Lotus?
It was good. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, bro, dude,
and,
I love that song.
Keep it contemporary.
We did I don't know if Harris is familiar, but I did one of the Patreon episodes does that White Lotus season 2 opening, but with our comics. And Harris was like, "I love what you did with the opening," and I was like, "Dude, it's totally from something else." Did you realize that yet, or
no? I knew because you told me, but I didn't watch White Lotus.
Good,
yeah. You should. It's a great show.
It was good. I think my girl watched it and she said it was good, but I'm like, I want to say backlogged on shit to watch, but it's because I just am watching stupid shit on YouTube all the time. That's
also important
of my viewership.
Rouge the Bat farting 6 hours nonstop remix.
No, that's when I'm logged into the Cold Cuts, our joint YouTube page. I'm like, what the fuck is Zach watching? It's literally.
Dude, there's times I'm watching shit and I'm like, I have to switch the account. I can't let Harris know I'm fucking watching this shit, dude.
Most of it is just Zach watching like. This is how I annihilated this person in Pokemon Stadium.
Like, I need moves, baby.
I'm like, what is this shit? Who watches this?
I need to learn. I need to learn from the pros. All right, I'm glad that question made sense because I was like, I was worried it was for you or me, Harris, and that we just had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. All right, I think 3 minutes 20 seconds. I think we can bang out one more.
Yeah, let's do it.
What inspires your comic the most? Just scrolling around on the internet and whatever pops into your mind. Also, does your mascot canonically have a human dick or a raccoon dick? What does a raccoon dick look like? I'm literally Googling this right now.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm well versed enough in raccoon anatomy to actually answer that question.
You know what? I'm not. I'm actually not going to Google.
But I also have kind of learned from fandoms that you just shouldn't give people more information. One, because you're feeding the wolves. And 2, the beauty in fan art comes from filling in the blanks.
Well, first of all, you apparently raccoons have a bone in.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
for real.
And you can buy. There's somebody on Etsy selling earrings made of raccoon penis bones.
So wait, does that mean they're constantly hard?
I don't know. Maybe it's like retractable.
Gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, I wonder like if I bought this for my girlfriend and I was like, "Here you go, babe." I wonder if she'd be like, "Oh my god, this is so nice," but I have no idea what it was.
Yeah, just don't tell her it's.
She would never. No, because honestly, looking at it, you would be like, "Is this like a tooth? Is this like a tusk? Like what is this thing?" Interesting. Anyway, What do we have more Patreon questions?
We do.
Oh.
We do.
Wait,
Did you
wasn't
say, did you say the beginning one? What inspires your comic the most? Just scrolling around the internet?
Honestly, I think like the biggest inspiration for me is hanging out with my friends and riffing
You are literally
and getting
Seinfeld. Okay.
ideas from that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like a boring answer, but when students of mine have asked, like, do you have advice for how to like get into like comedy writing or anything, I just tell them like, hang out with your friends, ask yourself, what is it about them that you find funny?
Mm-hmm.
And that is like your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it that draws you to these people? What like what do they do that makes you laugh? And if you're bad at like pulling like jokes straight out of your head, you can just start with quoting your friends.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
draw fan art of your life, and that will eventually lead to original content.
Yeah.
Dude, this is slightly in the same vein. We only have a minute. Hopefully I get this out. But I've only done stand-up comedy maybe like 6 or 7 times. But the first time I did it, I was freaking out, super scared. And then someone gave me the best piece of advice ever, which was pretend your friends are in the audience and you're just talking to them.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that same thing. Like, if you and your friend group find it funny, there's going to be another group of people out there who are very similar to you,
Mm-hmm.
who literally find it like just as fucking funny
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're back, baby.
We're back.
I took
we
a
were just
Feels
massive
good to
having-
be back.
We were having very good conversation just off pod, and we were like, we should really start recording this shit. But we were talking about it sort of. I mean, not to be reductive of your whole statement, but just finding, like, everybody finding their own style and it being rooted in like realness, in truth, really, like just like how that's how you can kind of detect if a web comic art or a comic artist in general is like, you know, if they're pandering, in my opinion, I'm rephrasing what you're saying, but like if they're pandering, you know, if they're trying to like play to the room, or if they're actually like drawing stuff that they think is good or funny or interesting. Am I phrasing that right?
Yeah.
No,
Dude,
that's pretty good.
The thing with the pandering I hate, though, is like, I'm sure I fall victim to this too, but there's something about a certain comic where you look at it and you can tell it's literally the webcomic equivalent of someone like jingling a toy in front of a baby so that the baby's like, I agree with this, me likey. And it's like, it's just so, I don't know if fake is the right word, but I hate that shit. I really dislike that shit.
I think it's, as an artist or a writer or a content creator especially, it's very easy to see through that kind of like thin veneer that some, it's not just comic artists too, it's all types of content creators do where they're creating things that, I mean, this is also like Instagram, because I don't, here's the thing also, this is partly my fault because I don't interact with Instagram Reels very much, so it's not curated to me. So the Instagram Reels that I get fed are the most like baseline, bare minimum, like what I think they're just showing to everybody, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that type of shit, because I never like or interact with like random shit that's like fed to me. But some of that, sometimes I do have to, like, even just when we were on the break, I don't know why something caught my attention and I was like scrolling through some of the reels, this like unadulterated Instagram general public reels, and I was like,
Yeah,
it is so fucking,
it's embarrassing.
it's just strange, it's just so
It's like
weird to
going
look
on
at.
YouTube incognito and you see what like the base level
The Mr.
recommendations
Beast.
are.
Right, yeah, that shit is wild. Have you guys been fed this video? I see this one all the time in my fucking feed. Is this like really fat Turkish man and he's bouncing his belly to the beat of a song that's going like shbeebity beebity bop.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Have you
I saw
seen
that on
guy?
Twitter.
I
I saw
know
that on
this.
Twitter.
I just like, dude, I swear to God, every time I log into Instagram, there's another video of this guy with like in a different background or setting, and he's just bouncing his belly. Oh, Alex, I'll send it to you when we finish.
Yeah,
so you
I have
can
no
also
idea what the hell you're talking
partake.
about. It does
Okay.
remind me of this time where I had the epiphany that everyone's got feeds that are a reflection of what they interact with.
Okay.
And it was at my old day job where I worked at an ad agency. And I'm just making small talk with my coworkers, and I just make a passing comment saying, "Oh yeah, everyone on the internet wants to fuck SpongeBob." And
You're like,
I
"Wait,
met
what?"
with like silent looks, like what?
Come
And I'm like,
again?
oh, clearly we're all seeing the same things.
Yeah, of
Everyone
course.
is horny for SpongeBob. But no, I
No.
realized at that moment that I just hang out with people online who want to fuck
Who want to
SpongeBob.
fuck SpongeBob? There you go.
And
You wouldn't even know what hole to put it in. Am I right or am I
Hey,
right, ladies and
Hey!
gentlemen? Yeah, that's very true. And sometimes I'm less picky on Instagram. I'll follow people without really thinking about it on Instagram because I'm not on there so much. But on Twitter, I'm kind of picky choosy about following people because it feels like after I follow somebody on Twitter, they completely take over my feed. Like it doesn't matter
Yes,
who it
yeah.
is, but Twitter is like, oh, you followed this person, you just met this person, we're just gonna show you what the fuck they're posting. So I'm like, I really need somebody who's not posting cringe or not posting more than twice a day. That you need to be tweeting 2 times or less a day.
Dude,
That's
the
all I wanna
worst
hear.
is
Yeah.
when you find someone who has like a funny tweet or comic and you follow them and all of a sudden all their tweets show up on your feed and it's like, what's the deal with black people? And you're like,
That's terrible. That's not
unfollow.
Yeah, no, that's just not good either.
To revisit what you were saying before about truth in people's comics,
Yeah.
if I may.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think it's very easy for people to find and build an audience if they just want like numbers, because you can observe patterns and see what things are successful and figure out the template and formula and just like recycle that over and over. But I think when I'm looking for a comic that I like, or like when I'm looking for new comics to like, I don't really give a shit what the follower count is, because there are people making really good, weird, fringe shit that have like less than 1,000 followers, but they're very like committed to their craft.
Sure.
They have a very unique voice. And that's like and I guess that's the most important thing to me, is that if there is the trace of a human being in this work that is unlike nothing else, I care. And it doesn't have to be funny. It could be like slice of life relationship comics. It could just be about like something unhinged that your partner said, and the fact that you thought it was important and worth immortalizing in a comic is the voice.
Yeah, that's real.
Well, I would don't let me cut you off.
Oh no, go off.
I was just gonna say I would argue against a point you made earlier, and you might have just been saying it in comparison to kind of what you were talking about, but you were saying it's super easy to get numbers if you want them. I would argue against that just because Harris and I have a lot of people who really want to get into webcomics. I think, you know what, there's 2 or 3 people who have started doing them since they joined the Cold Cuts Patreon. Yeah, and I love seeing their shit, and they also do dope fan art, and it's like so good seeing them. But I would argue, and I think we talked about this on one episode, you're totally right about the people that make the best shit. It's them making stuff they like, and it's not about like, oh, Avatar came out, let me make an Avatar comic or something like that. You know what I mean? You're not like pandering. But there's a lot of people out there who make really dope shit and don't get the numbers and quit, which is why I think the most important piece of advice, and I'm curious, Harris, I think I know your answer just because we talked about this, but I'm curious to hear from both of you, because we get this question a lot. What's the single best piece of advice you can give us? We want to get into webcomics. What's the best piece of advice? I think the finding your voice comes later. I don't know if you guys are like me. Harris, not really. Even your beginning comics were all great. you know, but for me, it took maybe a year of just churning out garbage to find my voice. You know what I mean? And I really think the single most important piece of advice for anyone listening, I know there's a few of you out there because you always write in and you want to get into webcomics, and it's not giving up and literally sticking with it. And it doesn't guarantee you're going to succeed, but there's a lot of people who don't see that number factor and literally just quit like 2 to 3 months in because they expect to get huge like super fast. You know what I mean? But what would you guys agree that that's the single most important thing, or do you think it is finding your own voice or whatever? Because in my humble opinion, I think if it's meant to be and you're literally not getting into webcomics or any type of content, if you're not getting into that type of content just for numbers and clout and blah blah blah, I think over time naturally you will find your voice. And I highly recommend too. Like a lot of people ask me, is it weird like copying artists and like jokes and stuff? And I think especially when you're starting out, at the beginning, there's nothing wrong with copying because that's kind of how you grow. That's kind of how you find what you're into, what you like. But yeah, I think that's the most important part for sure.
I agree.
Thoughts on that? You do? Okay.
Yeah. What I've told students is that the most important thing with posting, regardless of what it is, whether it be like a YouTube channel or Instagram comics or just like tweeting in general, consistency is the most important thing.
Yes.
It's obviously ideal if you do it several times a week, but if you can't do it several times a week, do it once a week. It is better to post a comic once a week for several months than do like several times a week, then take a week off.
Yeah.
And then do like a couple more and be like sporadic about it.
Yeah.
Even if you post more with the sporadic model, it's still better for you to like post every Monday, and the people who find and like your stuff know when they can look forward to more of your stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do think there is like there is part of that where people hear that advice, and because I see a lot of small time and even bigger type creators who literally, you know, they have a job on the side and they're super busy and they write these huge long apologies when it's like they literally, there's some people, I get it. Maybe you have a ton of comms coming down the line and you haven't posted shit for like a year. Then I totally understand doing this. But there's a lot of people who get caught up with like important shit that they have to deal with and they don't post for like a week and they make this huge dramatic post about like, I'm so sorry, like I wasn't able to post. That's the only negative part of that mindset, I think, is people thinking they're failing if they can't stick with it. But kind of like what you were saying, even if you backlog some stuff, like, you know what, I am going to post one comic every Monday. I have 3 ready to go, but having the foresight to hold those back, so then you literally have comics for the next, you know, if you have 4 comics, you post one this week, your next 3 weeks are set. You know what I mean? And like not feeling just the pressure from like, I have to post every day at this time, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I'm kind of rambling. I'm 4 PBRs deep and rambling a little bit.
No, I think everything you've said is true. Yeah, I definitely agree with Alex, your idea of like getting into like a flow, right? Like not rather than just like, let me just like bang out a million of these and then like rest on my laurels and then forget about it. Like it's better to get into a habit. And I mean that I even like struggle with that. My time organization is like that is just a critical flaw of my being. Like it's something that I've just never been able to deal with, and I probably will always have problems with.
You still crush it though, bro. Like, because I remember when you first found my comics, you were like, your output's insane. And then now I look at you and it's like, your output is insane.
But
your fucking output is insane.
That's the thing, is that the time management, that just because I'm putting out a lot, it means I'm neglecting other things, right? So it's like there's a way to do it where I'm and I do it because I love it. That's probably what I would add to what you guys said also, is like find your voice, right? Find a flow and do it because you actually want to. That's the other thing that I can tell. That's the other thing that I think separates a lot of people from the pandering thing, right? Let me just do this because I need to get engagement. You know what I mean? It's like I'm drawing things, and obviously this is the same for you guys too, and it shows in your art because I love to draw. I love doing it, and I feel like I feel like I want to. You know what I mean? It's fun. Like even if I had all the money in the world, I would still be drawing. I wouldn't just stop drawing. So like
Yeah.
I love to do it, and but like what what I was trying to do for a long time in the beginning here when I was starting the first few months was drawing even when I didn't want to, because there would be days where I woke up and I was just like, I am not in the fucking mood to draw. But what separates you from doing it quote unquote professionally and doing it just for shits and giggles is doing it on days when you don't want to, right? But I think I got so down that rabbit hole almost to a point where I was then on days where I actually was like, no, I really need a mental health break. Then I had that fucking voice, that monkey on my back that was just like, you should really be doing something, man. You should really be drawing right now. You know what I mean? And
Well,
that's like
that's the
that
worst thing ever, because like
that's how
I
you give yourself a heart
thankfully
attack, basically. Like that's what I started to
literally,
feel
yeah,
like.
like
Yeah.
you literally kill yourself. Because I even saw a recent artist who I really like their stuff leave Twitter. But there's a lot of people who, when they get in that mindset, um, I'm sure you guys have seen these types of posts too, from artists who are literally Disney level of talent, like extremely talented, and they then all of a sudden out of nowhere they post like, I literally hate drawing now. I fucking hate drawing, and it's like, again, I probably may run into that down the line because it does seem like a common artist thing, but I would highly recommend, like, every time you're drawing, like, and this is why it's so important, like you both were saying, of doing stuff you love and not for views and stuff, because I think that's why those people get burnt out. It's because they feel like they have to draw something for someone else, and it's like, no, do it for yourself. You got to realize, or at least remember, it's almost like a marriage. You look at your pig of a wife in like 10 years and you're like, why did I fall in love with this woman? And you got to remember, like, the way she eats from the trough. I love it. You
Yeah,
got to
exactly.
remember why you fell in love with it the first place.
I think it also speaks to why there's such an insane backlash to the AI art thing right now, which is like, I mean, there's plenty of valid reasons why artists are really up in arms about it, but I think some of it is also just this. It's like if you're especially a professional artist, aside from it being your livelihood and not wanting to fucking compete with a computer for your job, which is annoying in itself, there's a fucking emotional investment that you put into it where it's like, no, I'm really pushing myself. I'm turning something that I love to do into a career, which is going to inherently make me slightly embittered to it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it's like it, that's a huge gut punch to an artist that I think anybody who does it professionally eventually has to reach that. And then making that sort of like sacrifice, so to speak. And then all of a sudden you see these guys who can't even draw, but they can just type something into a computer and create like a fucking Renaissance painting. I understand why that's like, why I think some people snapped. It seems like we're seeing that online right now a lot. I mean, I don't get so much into anything frantically like about, I'm not gonna make any type of post that's just like, I can't believe, like, fuck AI art, all this shit. It's like, no, dude, I mean, it's the future. This is where we're at. It's going to exist. Like, I'm not in any fear of it stealing the ideas in my head. You know what I mean? So, and that's the biggest thing. So, but I understand why people are upset about it.
I do think that I think the last visual art that will be threatened by AI art generation is comics, because a very like the core of comics, this is kind of tying back into what I was saying before, is the personal voice of the artist.
Yeah.
It's like, comics are like this marriage of storytelling and visual arts, And granted, we have like AI generation for both visuals and storytelling, but I have not seen any examples yet of fully computer generated comics that mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's this marriage of these two things that are very human.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be like the last frontier of machines being able to recreate that, if you know what I mean.
For sure. I could see that. And I don't even know if that's where if that's where it'll go. I think probably what we'll see is that it's first going to be utilized for things like blueprinting, right? For like things that have architectural value, like stuff like that. That'll probably be first. Then maybe we'll probably see it replacing courtroom sketches or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
then
still think it's crazy that we do courtroom sketches.
It is kind of crazy. What is the
I think
actual
it's
reason?
cute
Can we not
and
take
cool.
photos? Is it there's no photos allowed? Is that why?
Yeah, that's
I
why
think with
we
some
still do it.
cases, yeah.
But why? I've seen footage of Young Thug like doing, you know, that one video of Young Thug like turning to the camera. Have you seen that? Yeah. Isn't
I didn't
that
even think about that.
why some and not others? Well, I never understood that. It is a cool job. I mean, I like being a courtroom sketch artist is probably like kind of, ooh, I'm drawing something and this is what it looks like. You guys weren't there, but I was there. Like,
It'd be funny if they
I feel like it doesn't even have to
someone-
be that good.
no, I don't think it has to be that good.
They should
Sometimes I see
hire,
courtroom sketches and I'm like, I could do that.
I could have drawn that.
Yeah,
Did I
for
do that?
sure.
Dude,
Can I
they
be a
should
courtroom
hire
sketch artist?
like a
I guess the clock
caricature
is ticking.
artist.
That would
And
be
just
funny.
draw like everyone like super fucked up and like be very mean about it. I feel like that would be dope. It would be very based. All right, let me hit just one because we blew through that block.
shit.
I don't even know
That
how.
is insane,
but
yeah.
let me hit a final patron question, and also we would love to have you back on. This was very fresh.
That would
I
be
had
great.
A great time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really
We'll get
fun.
you in on a Patreon exclusive episode so we can get a little rowdy.
sure.
We'll get a little edgy.
Yeah, no, you two are fun to talk to. I feel like I have a better understanding of what I think of comics after talking to you two. So
yeah.
I'm grateful for the opportunity.
High praise.
Dude, I
High
feel
praise.
the same way, actually. I think you've said some insightful shit. Yeah, this is good. Actually, I would say this whole podcast started as like, yeah, we're going to talk about webcomics, but I think this may be the first episode that we've really gone in depth
into it,
this
yeah.
subject. Yeah, but I think it's
That's
been
cool.
really good. Yeah.
Now I feel fine that our genre on Spotify is art. This makes it okay, but
that's good.
It's kind of cheating, bro. I was telling Harris the other day, our Spotify from last year came back, and it's like your art podcast outperformed 99% of every other podcast, and I was like,
Whoa,
Yeah,
Bro.
it's crazy. Yeah,
bro,
but it's,
right
but
on.
it's, because, it's probably because all the other art podcasts are like, this is a Monet painting.
Yeah,
and
literally,
like,
dude.
you know what I mean? Like,
literally.
probably like very like art history. All right, get that
All right,
question
Harris,
up.
you
Sorry.
pick. Do you have Discord pulled up or no?
I can. Yeah, I have it here.
I'll let you pick the last one because there's a few.
There's a few. All right, let's
Pick
see.
a solid. We have some good ones like thoughts on Rouge the Bat, but I think we can all agree we all want to fuck the shit out of.
I think Rouge is hot.
Very
She's
hot.
a babe, bro. I'm working on a comic right now that involves bat guano and Rouge. It's gonna be a real banger, boys. I'm really excited.
Huh.
That'd be the
I'm sure
best part
someone
about
will like
dating
it.
her.
Oh, here's one.
I hope.
This is a good one. Yeah, the next one. This is from user Bingus. He asked, "Are there any comics you made that you're particularly proud of but didn't pop off as much as you wanted?"
Huh. I think that my favorite comic that I've made is a comic about cold sores, and this is from a few years ago. But I think that I nail, or I'm able to make cold sores funny, which I think is important in a world that greatly stigmatizes them. And I shoehorn like an inside joke between like me and my friends that's just about corn, but it doesn't take away from the joke at all.
Okay.
So it's able to be like joke forward, but have like a little treat for me and my friends in the back.
Okay.
And I view it as like a huge personal success. And I don't think it's like a failure with performance, but it's definitely an example of my favorite comics are not the most high performing ones.
I can understand that.
Would you agree with this? Because Harris and I have talked about this multiple times, but there seems to be, and I swear I've seen other webcomic artists talk about this. But anytime I make a comic where I'm like, I pour my soul into it, I really think it's good, and it's like, it does very bad. And then anytime I do something in 2 seconds and I'm like, this is fucking garbage, I'm just going to shit it out. It goes baby monkey
Banana
baboon mode. Like,
Yeah,
insane.
for sure.
Have you ever felt that way about certain ones?
I'm often shocked by what blows up. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't have the forecast for it. And like all I can sometimes I know, but I made a comic about how can I be quick about this? There's like a guy who goes to a doctor because he has a hangover, and then the doctor gives him a beer, and then they just like hang out and like talk.
Oh, I
And
love
there's,
this
like,
one.
no
I've seen that
punchline.
one.
He's like,
there's
so
no
what do you
like
do?
real punchline. It's just like this like ambient vibe, but it's like been one of my most successful comics.
It's a good one.
And it could. Thank you. Its success confuses me because it's not a classic 1, 2, 3, 4 beat comic strip. It's just me like fucking around, but it had a very wide appeal, and it gives me hope that casual comic people just like weird offbeat shit, and it makes me feel like I can continue doing that.
Dude, fuck yeah. Dude, I just gotta shout this guy out just because I think I mentioned him to you, Harris, but I know you didn't know them. But I think you guys are both clearly, based on what we talked about earlier, you enjoy Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes.
I've always been like, I wish he either made more comics or I could find someone who gave me that same feeling. And if either of you haven't found this guy, he's fairly big and he just got syndicated in newspapers, but anyone listening, if you're craving that Calvin and Hobbes humor and like lightheartedness that goes sometimes deep, sometimes, Crabgrass. Have you seen that?
No, I have never seen it.
Dude,
I'm looking it up.
I you know what? I should ask him to come on because I DM'd him a little bit, but you guys, I'm telling you, as soon as you guys read a couple, you're gonna go down a wormhole. It is literally like Calvin and Hobbes. Like it's so much.
These drawings are really cute.
Yeah, the drawings are great
very reminiscent of Calvin and Hobbes. Like you could tell.
Yeah.
Pulls heavy inspiration.
But the humor's great too. Anyway, we're down to our last minute. This fucking flew by, this block.
Seriously,
We definitely got to bring you on again soon. And sorry, I think there were 2 or 3.
We'll get to those
questions
questions
we
on the
didn't
next
get to,
time we bring you on.
We'll do them another time. Yeah, we'll do them another time.
We gotta shout out our patrons, executive producers, real quick, just before we run out of time. It's Trash Bins, T Stilly, Brat Pew Pew, Gzan. And we got a new one, Snake Oiler Man. Thank you guys.
Snake Oiler Man, yeah. Who claims he doesn't want any fanfare about him helping us out, but
appreciate it anyway.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it, Honky.
Anyway, but Alex, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, this was great, bro. You very interesting guy and very funny.
Hell yeah.
Likewise. Like I said, I think I've learned more about myself from talking to you guys. So I appreciate it.
Let's go.
Italians
we'll
and Jews coming together. It's a beautiful
Right
thing,
on,
boys.
thing.
Let me cheers. Let me cheers, y'all.
Thing.
Alex with his invisible fucking drink.
Yeah.
I swear there's something here. There it is.
I don't believe you.
Dude, I'm gonna green screen some giant rouge tits.
Better call Saul, I just sucked off Ron Paul. My head game's so good, I only left him with 1 ball. Ron called his attorney and said, I'm dying, man. The only problem was the guy was a huge fan. Listen, Ron, between client and attorney, we can sue for damages, but can you introduce me? Who's this YOLO swag? I heard he's real bad. I don't know, dude. I think he's kinda rad.